Down protesters' anti-Trump camp. Anti-Trump protesters gathering in Washington, D.C. to protest white supremacy were disbanded by Park Police Saturday morning. The Daily Caller has the story of what protesters are calling a raid that started about 4 a.m. and ended by 5 a.m. Advertisement. A Facebook Live clip of the apparent raid is quite murky but does show some local police dismantling and removing camp items. Watch here. DC's Park Police Service didn't confirm if it was involved. The organizers of the protest started a march 10 days ago in Charlottesville, Virginia to protest President Trump and white supremacy. Charlottesville was the site of a number of clashes between violent Antifa counter-protesters and white nationalists that led to the death of one individual. These anti-Trump protesters who started in Charlottesville had planned to occupy DC's Farragut Square until September 30 when there is a planned march for racial equality. The raid changed all that. The organizers of the anti-Trump protest camp say they applied to the Parks Service for a permit but it wasn't yet approved. It speaks volumes about our country that a permit would be issued for a white supremacist rally. Yet our nonviolent 24-hour vigil against our white supremacist government would be broken up by a public institution, organizer Nalini Stamp claimed in a written statement. Now the anti-Trump anarchists plan to march on the White House to bring our message to the president himself, according to Stamp. That rally will take place Saturday night outside the White House starting at 7. What do you think about this incident? Do you think the protesters should have been charged with anything for illegally trying to occupy the park with no permit? Trump makes 3 game-changing tax promises for every middle-class family in America. President Trump is gearing up for the fight of his life over the tax code. He ran on reform and everyone, even the Democrats, agree we need to modernize the tax code. So it should be easy, right? Advertisement. No. The entrenched interests, the swamp if you will, has much to lose with a better tax code. Because they have gamed the system, by paying off the politicians or having their lobbyists do it, in their favor. Loopholes and complex rules are the tricks they use to pay less, which means we pay more. It really is a zero-sum game, considering what we must pay out every month, when it comes to taxes, and the average American deserves a much-needed break. And that is who Trump is fighting for. Don't listen to the media when they say it's not so, and he is taking his case direct to the people. Advertisement. Trump said at his weekly address, earlier this week, I visited the hardworking citizens of North Dakota to promote our vision for tax cuts and tax reform that will create opportunity and prosperity for millions and millions of Americans. As president, I am committed to pursuing an economic policy that lifts up all of our citizens, provides hope for all of our communities, and generates wealth for everyday hardworking people, and it's about time. Since January, we've already created 1.2 million jobs. Unemployment is near a 16-year low. Wages are rising. But for our economy to truly take off like it should, we must cut taxes and reform our badly broken tax system. Our current burdensome tax code is a massive lead weight against the American economy. It costs us millions of jobs, trillions of dollars, and billions of hours wasted on paperwork and compliance. My administration is working closely with Congress to develop a plan that will deliver more jobs, higher pay, and lower taxes for businesses of all sizes, and most importantly for middle-class families all across America. Correct. Then he offered his 3 game-changing ideas that made the swamp cry. First, we are going to make filing taxes as simple as possible. If you're like most Americans, under our plan you will file your taxes on a single page. What a difference that will make, and you won't need to keep endless receipts and paperwork. We are freeing you from the horrible tax maze. Please make this happen. Secondly, we will cut taxes for middle-class families. We want you to keep more of your hard-earned money. This way, you could spend it, you could save it, you could do whatever you want. This would kickstart the economy for sure. Third, we will restore our competitive edge so we can create more jobs and higher wages for the American worker. We are going to cut taxes on American industry so we can create more business in our country. HTLW Breaking: Denmark takes huge stand against migrant refugees. Bloomberg is reporting on a very important story today out of the small nation of Denmark. Like much of Europe, the country has been overrun by refugees and migrants from Africa and the Middle East, with a particular uptick in the past several years. Now they've had enough. Advertisement: Denmark just announced no more refugees will be permitted to enter the country under the UN's resettlement program. Currently, Denmark and Sweden have the highest rates of sexual assault in the EU. They also have an even higher number of refugees and migrants from Africa and the Middle East than almost any European or Western countries in the world. Incredibly, 80 to 100% of Swedish women said they had been sexually harassed at some point in their life. It also demanded more options in the future instead of being told it has to take in a set amount of refugees and migrants. The small country has a population of only 5.7 million but had formerly promised to accept 500 refugees per year under the special UN program. The program is separate from EU requirements that force member states to take in refugees but have been resisted by countries like Hungary and Poland. Advertisement: Denmark's Minister of Immigration Inger Støjberg said that the halt to the UN program is about doing what's best for his country instead of just giving in to UN demands. It's hard to predict how many refugees and migrants will show up at the border to seek asylum, and we know it may be hard to integrate those who arrive here, Støjberg said, adding, "I would like to see a more flexible quota regime, so that we are prepared, but not obliged, to take a certain number of refugees for resettlement every year." Refugees and migrants have been the cause of serious violence and chaos in various European countries, however many other migrants are living peacefully and not creating disorder. Culture clashes and different norms about sexual behavior and women's rights have created a real crisis. What do you think of this decision? Are you proud of Denmark for taking this stand, or do you think it doesn't go far? Mike Ditka sends brutal message to NFL malcontents thinking of protesting anthem on 9/11. Mike Ditka just demolished NFL players protesting the national anthem. And it is not the first time. Iron Mike does not suffer fools. Now on the 9/11, Ditka spoke about players disrespecting the anthem on this day of all days. There is Monday Night Football tonight, and didn't hold anything back. Advertisement: TMZ caught up Iron Mike and got his opinion about anthem protest on the 16th anniversary of 9/11. Iron Mike said it is disrespectful but allowed that the NFL players have the right to do what they want to do. He said the majority will honor the flag and the 9/11 victims, but of course there may be some bastards in the group. And to those Ditka accurately predicted their futures. Advertisement: this is a different generation of people and they think things don't apply to them. Correct. There's always gonna be some malcontents. Let them be malcontents and no one will remember who they were. When the TMZ cameraman asked Mike Ditka if he had a message any player thinking about not standing for the national anthem Monday night, Ditka said, "God bless America. He is hard as nails, God love him." This is what he said last year about Colin Kaepernick. "I think it's a problem. Anybody who disrespects this country and the flag," said Ditka. "If they don't like the country, they don't like our flag. Get the hell out. I have no respect for Colin Kaepernick. He probably has no respect for me. That's his choice," said Ditka. "My choice is, I like this country, I respect our flag, and I don't see all the atrocities going on in this country that people say are going on," Ditka said before adding, "I see opportunities if people want to look for opportunity. Now if they don't want to look for them, then you can find problems with anything, but this is the land of opportunity because you can be anything you want to be if you work. If you don't work, that's a different problem." Christians groups reveal staggering amount of aid sent to hurricane victims, FEMA turns green with envy. This is a shocker. After you read the next two sentences, take a second and just let them sink in. Christian nonprofit organizations have provided the vast majority of the relief aid to victims of Hurricanes Harvey and Irma. Advertisement: Faith-based relief groups are responsible for providing nearly 80% of the aid delivered thus far to communities with homes devastated by the recent hurricanes, as reported by the USA Today. 80% is not a small number. An alliance of nonprofit organizations called National Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster, NVOD, of which 75% of which are faith-based organizations, is responsible for the main thrust of the efforts. Advertisement: these groups have long helped FEMA distribute relief to people hit by disasters and also assist families in navigating the maze-like government aid programs. About 80% of all recovery happens because of nonprofits, and the majority of them are faith-based, Greg Forrester, CEO of NVOD said. Who knew? Samaritan's Purse recently began a relief mission to the Caribbean to help victims of the hurricanes on various islands. Samaritan's Purse also has ongoing relief operations in Houston and is preparing to aid Florida in the aftermath of Irma. Luther Harrison, Vice President of North American Ministries for Samaritan's Purse, an evangelical disaster relief group led by evangelist Franklin Graham, said, FEMA, they have been a big blessing to us, they're an assistance to us. For Hurricane Irma, the majority of our equipment has already been dispatched to Texas. So our office in Canada is bringing their equipment across the border, and FEMA was instrumental in helping us clear that with customs and getting all the paperwork done. The United Methodist Committee on Relief has 20,000 volunteers trained to serve in disaster response teams, according to the Daily Caller. Right now, in the state of Texas, we are going around with FEMA trying to help them select a facility, Derek Lee, Director of Disaster Response for Adventist Community Services, told USA Today. It'll actually be the state's facility, but it'll be us that helps them manage it. We are going around with them right now trying to help them pick out a facility that will accommodate what the need is going to be on the ground. FEMA cannot do what it does so well without the cooperation of faith-based nonprofit organizations and churches, Reverend Jamie Johnson, Director of the Department of Homeland Security's Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships, told USA Today. It's a beautiful relationship between government and the private sector, and it is something to behold.